Hey there guys, I am the Six Machine and welcome back to another Warhammer video. So with the possibly imminent, possibly in October, release of the brand new Horus Heresy 2.0 box set game, it seems that we now have a clear confirmation of the impending scale creep coming with future Heresy miniatures. From the initial blurry pictures we saw a few months ago, we could all pretty much see that there was some scale creep coming, just based on the overall proportions and the look of the Marines. But it seems that the new Imperial Fists Praetors, which are now available to order from Forge World, have set the precedent for the size of the new models that we can expect from Horus Heresy 2.0. And as you can see on your screen now, these boys are pretty damn big, with the regular Praetor on the left and the new Terminator Praetor on the right. They absolutely dwarf the current Tartarus pattern Terminator, which you can see in the center of the picture. And so from that, I think it's pretty clear that at the very least, on the character front, pretty much all of the current Forge World Praetors are going to be somewhat ill-fitting with the scale of this new game. And despite the fact that characters in a lot of Games Workshop games tend to be a little bit bigger and more imposing, even the regular line infantry like Marines and Terminators and even Bikers are probably going to look very out of place when we start to get the new kits for the new Heresy game. I do think that it's quite likely that the Primarchs will still be of an appropriate scale. It would be incredibly crappy of GW to release the brand new Lionel Johnson model barely a year and a half ago, if it was going to have to be superseded by this new game in just a couple of years' time. But with that in mind, there have also been some rumours about the new Heresy game and about the new Heresy setting, introducing some redesigned Primarchs and maybe even some Demon Primarchs. So perhaps they will use this as an opportunity to upscale and bring out some better quality versions of the very, very old Primarchs like Angron. But what does this mean for regular line infantry that you may have at the moment for both 30k and for 40k? Well, I personally don't think they are going anywhere just yet. I do fully expect you to still be able to buy regular 40k tactical marines, cataphracti terminators, or even the Forge World specific units like the Deathwing Companions or the Cenobium Knights for quite some time yet. But I do think there is some very clear intent that GW will try to push these new rescaled Marines as replacements for 40k as well as for use in this new Heresy game, of course. So when you see Terminators or regular Marines in White Dwarf, I would not be surprised if they were made up of the new, slightly bigger models from Heresy 2.0. I'm also quite intrigued to consider whether things like the aforementioned Cenobium Knights or things like the Crimson Paladins for the Blood Angels and other Legion-specific units will be getting a redesign in the new scale, or is the new Heresy game going to simply set up brand new lore and brand new units to add to those Legion-specific rosters? Will there come a time when Crimson Paladins are no longer available, and then instead of getting a redesigned plastic version, we get, I don't know, something like the Scarlet Paladins instead? I do think that one thing is clear from this quite hefty redesign of scale, and that is that this new Heresy game looks very much set to supersede the current Forge World and also the current GW Old Marine range eventually. But I will be honest with you, I think overall it's going to be a positive change. The details and the design of the new Praetors alone is just staggeringly good. They look absolutely gorgeous and are jam-packed full of intricate details and design, which surely paints a very reassuring outlook for the rest of the Heresy 2.0 kits that eventually come our way. And yes, whilst I think you will still be able to use your smaller Marines in 40k as Firstborn, the intent for Heresy 2.0, in my mind, is pretty clear that these new models are realistically going to be the only way to play in any kind of official sense. And I would also argue that for purely Firstborn 40k players, there is going to be quite a hard decision to make to consider, are these new better proportioned old Marines just much cooler and better to use in my Firstborn army than the current tactical ones? And even though you still want to play Firstborn, is it still going to be worth eventually and slowly changing up your army with these newly designed kits, which obviously are that much bigger, so eventually you will want to swap out the older Marines for these newer ones? And that does also segue quite nicely into GW's line of not forcing anyone to abandon their old Marines and still supporting the Firstborn, but just giving players a much more attractive version of those units for the players to embrace. I also think it's going to be quite interesting to see how this new Heresy game interacts with things like Custodes, as the new Terminator Praetor, as you can see on your screen, looks like he's going to be pretty much in line size-wise with a Custodian Guard, so I do think that is going to be potentially a bit of a tricky bridge for GW to cover, because I hope you can still use Custodes in the new Heresy game, but also I quite like my Custodes to be that little bit more intimidating and larger and imposing than the Space Marines. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do that, because obviously they can't really rescale the Custodes because they are an established kit for 40k as well. But that is it for today. The picture is there for you to see the newly rescaled Praetors, and I honestly think they look incredibly cool, and I think it's going to be a net positive change to introduce these slightly better proportioned and bigger scale Marines to both this new Heresy game and also to the 40k universe as well. But what do you think of these new Legion Praetors? Are you excited to see what they do with older units like the Cenobium Knights, and do you think they're going to eventually get a redesign in the new scale as well? Or will this new game just set up a wholly brand new set of units to go along with it? And also, how do you think these new Marines will impact current 40k Firstborn players? Can you see a lot of people embracing them as the new and updated tactical Marine style kits? Or will people still be clamoring for the original current kits that we have? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I will catch you later, guys.